This is Doom the Dark Ages melee only. No guns, no shield throw, just stand and fight. The game opens on the Slayer, with glowing yellow eyes, standing on a platform while makers monitor him. That'll be important later, but for now, there's a demon invasion going on, and they'd like that to stop. So we're launched into our first mission. Now, right away, the first thing I do is bind shoot to something I'll never hit by accident. We move forward through some basic tutorials like how to block, a new addition to the series, and the fact that I have tutorials on is actually very important, so take note of that. Now we learn how to perform the only attack I can use right now, the shield bash. So the second thing I do, rebind shoot again, because shield bash is triggered by blocking and pressing shoot. Guess I'll just have to be better and not miss input. The basic soldiers hit surprisingly hard, but die by the dozen in a single shield charge. The only real thing to note here, look how easy it is to lose your guard. Yes, the game has a block, but no, you can't just hold it and be fine. Anyway, we beat our first encounter, if you can even call it that, and see our first proper demon, an imp. I try to shield bash it for a bit, until I accidentally hold down left click a little too long, and shoot it directly in the mouth. That's a reset. On the second attempt, I start to think this run might already be dead. I spend 15 minutes straight charging into this imp, and it's still alive. There's some fire in the arena that can burn you, so I think maybe I can lure him into it to kill him. Nope, he won't go near it. In fact, this is a safe spot. He just stares at you. At this point, I'm lost, but while I'm contemplating what to do, and absent-mindedly bashing into him, something incredible happens. He staggers. He goes into a glory kill state, and I get a tutorial pop-up telling me to press melee and finish him off. Remember when I said tutorials being on was important? This is why. This enemy can only be killed by staggering him and landing a glory kill, which I only figured out after testing on a separate file. Here's what's going on. Demons in this game have two bars, a health bar and a stagger bar. If you stop hitting them for too long, the stagger bar resets. And this demon can't die unless you stagger him. He is a glory kill tutorial. So in my earlier attempts, while I paused between hits, I was resetting the stagger over and over, which is why it took so long. But of course, I didn't know this at the time, so I left the room wondering what was different, thinking maybe it was bugged, and carrying some completely unrealistic expectation of how tough the next imp was going to be. So in the next encounter, I easily kill 3 imps in about 10 shield bashes each, much to my bewilderment. Then it's just a quick run through a safe zone, and I get my first real unlock of the game. And thank God, it's my melee. Thank you, God. Now that the run's actually rolling, let's talk rules. First, the obvious one. I won't shoot any of the guns I find. Let's just say I'm an enthusiastic weapon collector. Next, if I'm given a ranged option that isn't a gun, I won't use it for damage. That means no shield throw. If it's required for puzzles or switches, fine, I'll use it. No one's watching Doom for the parkour anyway. Finally, parrying, blocking, and any other effects that come from them are allowed, within reason. This run defines melee as close combat, not only use the melee button. That's a separate run for someone crazier than me. Considering parrying is the main way to recharge melee, good luck with that. Anyway, first encounter with proper melee, and I leap in to test it out. Only for the enemy to die to nothing, and my punch completely whiffs. Oh my god, does landing next to things do damage? Why yes, past me, that's exactly what happened. Jumping from even slight elevation causes a damaging shockwave around you. I figured it out pretty quickly, but this ends up being a much bigger deal than I realized, because of one specific enemy we'll run into later. But for now, we get to enjoy the sight of some imps getting handled in 3 clean hits. No more 15-minute slap fights. This encounter mostly acts as a tutorial for melee pickups, those fists on the ground. Each one gives you a melee charge back. Normally, it won't be this easy to chain kill with melee alone, but for now, The run is officially online. Using my newfound melee, jump damage tech, and shield bash, I pretty easily handle the next arena. It's a little slow since melee is limited, but before I know it, I'm done, and I'm getting a tutorial on how to parry. Nothing groundbreaking here. If an enemy attack flashes green, hit the shield button before impact, and you parry it. This sends a projectile back and gives you a melee charge. Coming out of the tutorial, I'm greeted with more imps. But these ones have learned how to shoot green attacks, which is actually really bad for their long-term health. But I appreciate the donation to the cause. The next area very unceremoniously introduces us to our first real enemy, the Pinky Rider. These guys are far more dangerous than what we've seen so far. The Rider launches green projectiles from a distance, and if you get too close, the Pinky lunges and bites. Normally, you can shoot the Rider off, which disables ranged attacks. You can also glory strike the Rider off during a stagger. I can't shoot, obviously, but the second option is also bad for me. Once the Rider is gone, the Pinky loses its ranged attacks, meaning it becomes much harder to regain melee charges. My first attempt goes well, right up until it breaks my block, and my attempt to shield bash turns into a shot directly into its foot. So much for being better. That's a second reset. Second attempt goes much smoother. A quick 3-piece combo lets me execute the Rider, and after about a minute of shield bashing, I bring the Pinky down. I learned something important here though. You can't block immediately after a shield bash. That small window leaves you vulnerable, especially against Pinkies, whose bite is fast enough to catch you before your guards back up. Still, I manage. Until I walk up to a cliff and see the first real challenge. Some missions in this game toss you into massive battlefields and say, go wild. This is one of those moments. There are 4 hell portals to close, each one triggers a horde, you kill them, portal shuts. Make it happen. And already at the first portal, I barely squeak by, most of the damage coming from riderless Pinkies. But the second is my first real struggle of the run. I don't have many tools, there are fewer pickups than in earlier arenas, and if I kill the Riders too early, I lose my only way to recharge melee. Past me didn't realize this, of course, so I just keep relentlessly killing the Rider first. Eventually, I get lucky. One of the Pinkies gets stuck. Even then, it's somehow still touch and go, but I scrape by. At the next portal, we get our second unlock, the Shredder. Cool auto weapon that launches into a barrage of barbed spikes at enemies. It is equally effective from close to long range, so long as you can stay on target. And it's going right in the trash. The rest of the portals are more of the same. But I do find a secret and unlock a cool weapon skin. I'm thrilled because hey, it adds to the collection. With the final portal closed, there's one more encounter. Demons storm the beach in dramatic fashion. And it's more of the same. And then we finish the level with a turret section. I attempt to look away from my problems, but unfortunately, this is still gameplay, so, well, technically the Doomslayer is being mind-controlled here, so you could argue his actions aren't his. Therefore, legally, the run is still live. This one normal-ass turret kills a Titan, making me question why we even have giant mechs and not just a bunch of these. Let's just move on to the next level. Before Chapter 2, we meet the main antagonists of the story. There's this evil hell guy, Ahzrack. He doesn't really do anything evil, mostly just stands there looking demonic, but he does sinisterly watch you on his evil TV. A quick cut to the good guys, and they're mind-wiping the Slayer into obedience, to diminishing results. We learn the demons are trying to break the trans-dimensional barrier, and if they succeed, Hell can invade like never before. So the makers decide to deploy the Slayer, because at this point they basically treat him like an anti-demon nuke. To start off the mission, we're introduced to the chainsaw shield. Throwing it will stun larger enemies, and shatter superheated metal, including, crucially, enemy shields. Because I have tutorials on, the game gives me a little glimpse of how this works. At the time, I wasn't sure if I was going to allow myself to use the shield throw for damage. It's not a gun, and a shield itself is normally melee, but throwing it felt kind of like a gray area. Then the very next encounter decides for me. That doesn't sit right with me. Here's the same encounter again, but this time without the shield throw. Until I realize it's optional. That's kind of the story for most of the early part of this mission. I flip a few switches, ignore most of the enemies, and eventually reach my first real highlight. A new enemy, the Hell Knight. But what they really are is my new best friend. They attack only with parryable melee strikes, which means if I leave one alive, it's basically like walking around with a very angry melee battery. Any encounter with a Hell Knight is instantly easier, and now that they've been introduced, I'll be seeing a lot more of them. Re-entering the facility, we are quickly introduced to the next new mechanic of Dark Ages, gold. And of course, because it is a shiny thing in a video game, I run around to collect it all. You use gold to buy upgrades for your weapons, shield, and melee. After some time carefully weighing my options, I decide to upgrade my melee. Now, the third hit of my combo does even more damage, cementing the fact that I should never start punching if I don't have full melee stacks. I get a little bit lost, but eventually figure out how to use a map. This leads to me finding the second new enemy of the level, the Stone Imp. They glow green and explode in a single shield charge. Literally explode. It damages things near them. They also explode if you parry them. You won't see many of these, and they're really not worth mentioning again. Anyway, we duel a Hell Friend in event, are gifted a keycard, and jump into our first real arena of the mission, where they throw Hell Friends and Stone Imps at you. I win easily enough, but after this, we drop directly into what is the hardest room of the mission. There are two big things that go on in here. First, we unlock a new weapon. It's a bait. First, we get to meet the Mancubus, an iconic enemy of the Doom series. While I die in the footage, let me explain its moveset real quick. They come in flavors, but this type has 3 attacks. The projectiles you're seeing, a flamethrower that you can't block, and if you get too close, a parryable ground slam. The best way for me to take them out is to parry the ground slam, get 2 hits, parry again, then finish them with 1 more melee and a glory kill. But I don't know that here. It kills me. The second attempt goes much better, even if I essentially kill it by just mashing it to death. Unfortunately, doing so spawns in another Mancubus, multiple imps, and a whole Roman phalanx. I valiantly run around for a bit, but I'm going to need more than a lucky mash to get through this room. We get a bit cleaner at killing the first Mancubus. Okay, no. We get lucky once, and then in the next few runs he farms me. I also learn he has one last attack.
Excuse you?
A quick melee swipe. I, to this day, don't know what makes him do that instead of the ground slam, but if he does, you're usually dead, as it breaks your block and hits unreasonably hard. After a few tries, I finally manage to beat the second Mancubus. I nearly do what high-rank players will call trolling, and die to this shield line after, but in the end, I find some high ground and prove my theory that the jump shockwave is going to be invaluable this run. With the room clear, we get to unlock the first plasma gun, a convenient solution to any energy shields. I'll let live me tell you about it. The accelerator shoots out plasma energy at a very high rate of fire. It has moderate spread, making it less effective at long range. As a plasma weapon, it can also quickly overload energy shields to generate an explosion. Okay, that sounds awesome. And I'll never use it again. From here, the mission is pretty standard. I punch a few demons, get lost repeatedly, spend way too long dueling Mancubi and jumping around shield guys, and attempt to commit high treason by shield charging into friendlies. Luckily, they aren't valid targets, but they just look so generic I always think they're enemies. There's no real encounters until we manage to exit the facility, where we get to see a set piece that just so happens to break the bridge we wanted to take. Oh well, I hop into an elevator shaft, have a close call with a single imp and some shield guys, learn how to shield jump, and then it's time for the final arena of the mission. Remember Pinky Riders? Well, now one is a mini-boss. The fight takes a while, as there are numerous lines of shield enemies and not a ton of health pickups. On top of that, this is your introduction to leader-type enemies. These guys have more health than normal, but killing them rewards you with an upgrade to your health, armor, or ammo. We managed to beat this arena flawlessly. Mostly because killing an enemy while at low HP gives health, and those shield enemies die in one hit to the back. Not all of them do. I still don't know what the difference is. Watching the footage back, I have to believe that any moment now, I'll realize I need to stop killing the riders if I want Pinkies to die faster. But I think it's still a few missions until I finally put one into one together. With this arena clear, and a neat kill animation to boot, we get to see set up for the first big mini-game of the game. See that giant mech? Yeah, we're about to pilot it. The mech is a break from the normal action to play Pacific Rim, making this the first time where melee only is actually fully intended. I enjoy the break for what it is, until the AI autopilot takes over and mows down some enemies with a minigun, which is, unfortunately, completely unskippable and unavoidable. But technically, the mech did it. Our Slayer has still yet to break his melee-only Kreed. This whole mission is a big set piece ending in a satisfying explosion. Well, with that done, next we have to defend an artifact called the Heart of Argent. It's been sealed away from the demons, and they want it because it'll give them incredible power. We don't want them to have incredible power. The Slayer, having been picked up by the Sentinels after that explosion, is luckily already in place to fight off the intrusion. I take a second to admire how pretty this area is, and then it's back to business as usual. Punching, parrying, and shield bashing. A short way into the mission, we meet the Cyber Mancubus. Unlike the normal version, this one shoots green projectiles at me, making it a million times easier to deal with, even if it's slightly tankier. After quickly cleaning him up, we reach a hallway that's nothing but 3 rows of shield guys with a Mancubus at the end. This would surely be a fun encounter if you used your tools, but in my case, the Doomslayer decides that maybe not all demons need to die. So we kill the Mancubus and keep running. We learn that sliding box puzzles are still in the game. Woo. And then we get to enjoy one of my favorite arenas yet. You're locked in with nothing but your best friends, the Hell Knights, and get to beat down a horde of them. I'll just let this play out. It's one of the few times in the game I get to go wild with melee. The gameplay for most of these levels is pretty much the same. Run through some transition areas, find whatever hidden switch or button opens the path, go hit it, reach an arena. The only thing of note is that the next arena has some shadow imps. They're imps, but they're partly invisible and hit very hard. If 2 hit me at the same time, they can kill me from full health, and I can't lock onto them, but they also die in 2 hits. In a lot of crazier fights, they kind of end up dying mostly on accident, because parrying a green attack near them reveals them, but if they catch me off guard, they hurt. We get our first ruby, a rare upgrade material for your gear. A lot of the final upgrades use these instead of gold. Since well over 3/4 of the upgrades in the game don't apply to my run, we really won't be pressed for them. A short walk away, we drop into yet another big hole in the floor, because I guess this is their favorite area transition, and get the second new weapon of the level. Anyway, I'll never say it again. Using our new ruby, we fully upgrade our melee. Now I get an additional charge on parries, I electrocute things I punch, which makes them take more damage, and I get a 4th hit in my chain, which does massive damage. With this, my build is borderline complete, and it's mission 4. I run out, excited to test my new upgrades, only to meet one of the only enemies in the game I can't do anything about.
Ow.
Exploding skulls. They fly at you and explode. I can block them to avoid damage, but it always breaks my guard, so only one at a time. And you can't punch them at all. Luckily, they're pretty rare, but you know what's not rare? Shield enemies, and the next fight has a ton of them. They never shoot green attacks and are incredible at chipping me down. This arena takes 6 whole minutes, but finally, I get to try out my new upgrades, and the results are pretty insane. Yeah, you saw that right. The increased melee recharge after a parry, plus the ability to hold 4 charges, means I can get up to 6 melee hits in a row. We not only have respectable damage, we have somewhat absurd damage. At this point, I was really starting to believe this run might not only be possible, but possibly, dare I say, easy. Don't worry, that doesn't last, because with zero fanfare, we're introduced to the bane of my existence. One of these guys is harder than 50 Hell Knights. Just watch. He fires a hit scan laser and casually tanks 10 times more damage than anything else. But eventually I get past it. Also on this level, we get our first actual boss fight. It takes a while. He kills me once because I just stand on his floor goo stuff, but otherwise, it's just a game of catch with his green attacks. The arena is packed with health and armor, so death really isn't on the table if I'm not impatient. And his aim? I don't think he's even shooting at me. Half his shots look like he's beefing with someone in the chapel. It's genuinely incredible that I fought a full cinematic boss with music and a health bar, and somehow, the guy with the shield is what had me on the edge of my seat. With that done, and my melee fully upgraded, things should really start speeding up in this commentary. As long as there's nothing Is that a cyber dragon? Okay. The next mission begins with you riding a cyber dragon, with a built-in turret. The turret is his, and he's the one pulling the trigger, so the Doomslayer still hasn't fired a gun. The dragon has 2 main modes. First, there's combat mode. You lock on, you dodge, and every dodge buffs the turret, letting the dragon break energy shields. Then there's flight mode. You fly. Now, mechanically, this dragon mostly exists to give you sweeping views of giant set pieces. You can shoot mid-flight, but it's exclusively for taking down these little ships, which lead you to objectives and give you gold for blowing them up. What makes the dragon way better than the mech, though, is that you can land. That puts you back in Doomslayer combat. You know, the part of the game we actually play for. Speaking of, by landing we find our first combat challenge, activated by shield charging this tree thing. Nothing cool happens here, except I finally learned not to kill the riders early when fighting pinkies, getting me a free health upgrade. So we ride our dragon into the demon siege, take out their ships, and reinforce the sentinels, all to stop the demon ruler, who I still don't personally dislike, from getting superpowers from what might as well be a genie lamp. The technical term is Heart of Argent, by the way, in case we forgot. The loop of this mission is simple. The dragon uses guns to break the ships while the Slayer watches. You land on the ship, run through to its engine, and then you shield bash it to finish it off. The only thing of note is what's waiting at the heart of the ship. There's 2 new demon fights. There is the iconic Cyber Demon, who has a dangerous ranged attack, somehow still less threatening than whatever the shield guys are packing. But the Cyber Demon will do green attacks non-stop if you're close, making them food for me to style on. You can break their gun with a scripted glory strike, and they're incredibly fun to box. But not quite as fun as the next demon, the Armored Hell Knight. They're more aggressive, harder hitting versions of the Hell Knight. who still do nothing but parryable attacks. If the normal Hell Knight is my best friend, this version is more like a drinking buddy. You don't want to see them all the time, but you're never upset when you run into them. Continuing on, I spend 40 seconds fighting a basic line of shield enemies that would be one-shot by most people, and get my next weapon for my trouble, the Cycler. The Cycler fires powerful plasma spikes at a moderate rate of fire. As a plasma weapon, it can also quickly overload energy shields to generate a damaging explosion. The Cycler is the second of the plasma rifle class guns. Press F to switch between the guns in a weapon class on the fly. You can also switch the active gun within a weapon class from the Arsenal tab of your dossier. And you're never seeing it again. In our next Dragon Landing, we get one more new mechanic, which are Enforcer enemies. These enemies not only are extra strong, but they can infinitely spawn reinforcements that are also buffed. Beating him is more than worth it though, because doing so gets you everyone's favorite weapon in Doom, the Super Shotgun. The bit will get old if I do it all the time, so because it's so iconic, I look into the sky and fire it once, just so we can appreciate it. Then we never see it again. At this point, I am more than ready for this mission to end. There is one more encounter where the boss from the last mission returns as a basic enemy. Don't worry, he has like half the health, and some best friends spawn in to make sure I never run out of melee. With that, this mission is finally over. King Novik took the heart and escaped. The demons caused the flying city to fall, which honestly feels completely deserved. Whoever in fiction keeps thinking making your cities fly is a good idea, you and anyone who lives there are practically Darwining yourselves out of life. Anyway, the demons don't give up on their quest for the genie lamp. They follow the sentinels to their base, hoping to get King Novik's life, and the MacGuffin. Meanwhile, the Makers heroically torture our Slayer a little more, only to learn that he resists the mind control now. This makes them decide that maybe they should deploy him to help the sentinels, because otherwise they're all going to heroically die. And just like that, the Slayer is deployed to stop the siege. Fun fact about this scene: the reason the Slayer is tweaking out is because they aren't deploying him, and he can sense that there's demons to kill. So he's not mad that he's being deployed as an anti-demon weapon. He's mad that they're not deploying him hard enough. Just thought that was funny. At this point, if you're wondering why we haven't even seen the main demon antagonist yet, it's because he's actively avoiding us. The strategy for dealing with the Slayer is to not interact with him at all if it can be prevented, and to get all the power of the genie first, before even considering stepping up, which, again, doesn't make him feel like someone I'm any more inclined to kill than a random imp. He's not even that bad of a guy, he's well-spoken, treats his demon soldiers fairly, and I'll come back to him later. Let's get into Mission 6. At the very start, we get our first new melee weapon, the flail. Be something I can use, please. Yes! I was so excited to finally have something new, I couldn't wait to jump down into what would be the largest level yet and test it out. Then I died. This footage may look rough. That's because it is. This flail is garbage. Turns out the flail does practically 0 damage. Here it is, fully upgraded, killing a basic imp in 7 hits. That's the lowest health demon I can hit. Back to the mission. Basically, the way the flail is supposed to work is that it ignites demons, which makes shooting them drop armor. It's almost purely a utility weapon made to supplement your guns. Unfortunately, what that means for me is that it's effectively a squeaky toy, and no amount of upgrades will ever make it worth using. Unless I want to make this challenge run even harder. Yes, it does kill shield guys, but even that sometimes takes 2 hits, and breaking armor at the cost of not being able to kill anything isn't exactly a worthwhile trade, so I swap back to the fist. Because I still had hope at this point, I went back to the flail when it was only shield guys left, which sounded smart, but it recharges painfully slow. Swapping melee gets rid of all your melee charges, and an Arachnotron spawned in. So we beat an Arachnotron to death with the flail. That's the new enemy of this level, by the way. Basically, they shoot you with hit scan bullets, and you need to block them. But if you close the distance, they die in a 1-2-3 combo, unless you're using a flail. So there's not much to say, except that this variant has 0 green attacks. If I misplay and leave one of these alive last, I'll be stuck shield bashing and waiting on melee cooldowns forever. The rest of this level is more of what you've already seen. But we do get a glimpse at what could easily make for a very hard encounter: the leader mechanic. There's a big enemy with protection that only goes down by killing other enemies. The bigger, the better. This could make for a really challenging fight, except usually leaders are placed in some random corner where you never even see them until you decide to go kill them, effectively making them just a really strong normal enemy that you have to kill last. Still, this particular one took a while, largely because the Mankebai on the towers are really hard for me to deal with. When I parry them, I get launched backwards. Add in multiple shield lines and the Cyber Demon that spawns in when this Mank dies. This is just a rough encounter. No flail sandbagging required. You. Got him. Is bugging it out. Fuck. Do that whole thing again. Give me that. Nice. Only a little bit of a pain in the ass. The rest of this liberally uses the leader mechanic. Go to the spot, kill the leader, continue on. We do get to see a fan-favorite enemy reappear. Let's step away from the combat for a minute. This game, more than any other Doom, adores spectacle. In almost every single level, there's something epic happening in the background. I'm not the type of player who normally cares much about that, but I want to highlight this fight between a mech and a titan. It's a genuinely really cool touch. And thus the Doomslayer tore through the battlefield, until eventually having to retreat, because they breached the walls where you weren't. The only way they could ever get anything done. Now that we've really gotten into the flow of combat after that hour-long mission, it's time to spin the wheel of what new gimmick does the next level have? And the answer is another turret. Now, I know this looks bad. We broke free of the mind control, yeah, but this isn't the Slayer using a gun. It just so happened to misfire, and we're doing our best to wrestle it back into control to prevent any friendly casualties. Much like the last turret section, this is basically impossible to fail. Okay, this is mostly impossible to fail. I have to say again, if regular turrets can kill these titans in 4 shots with their ult fire, why are we funding the big mechs? With the Titanfeld, we enter Siege Part 2, where we fight our way to King Novik to stop him from losing the heart. This mission opens with almost no arenas. Instead, you solve puzzles. If you can call Find Switch Flip Switch a puzzle. If that counts, the Slayer is the highest IQ being in any realm. We run into our first Revenant, which, for once, I won't say much about. He died before I realized what he was. He's a ranged enemy with green attacks. You can punch him. He tries to go incorporeal, but not very well. We also get to see the hardest enemy in the game again, Shield Guy. I handle him better this time. This mission is easily my least favorite so far. The fighting is repetitive, and almost every area is just a hallway. It does have an arena I really like at the end though, a mini-boss armored Hell Knight, who brings a bunch of Hell friends with him. I also fully upgrade the flail. It will never be good, but it's trying its best now. With this mission done, we finally get our first face-to-face confrontation between the Slayer and Ahzrack. Ahzrack manages to retrieve the magic genie lamp, but it turns out it's empty. Before we can kill King Novik for this, the Slayer appears, and the entire last mission is overshadowed by this one scene. Back at the ship, the Slayer learns that he'll explode if he removes the tether. And this next part is completely unexplained, but Prince Ahzrack somehow possesses a maker and kills the other maker drones, and uses that possession to threaten the Kreed maker, the maker who has been in charge of torturing us. I said maker a lot. Kreed folds like an omelet, but we don't yet learn what that's going to lead to. Back to the Slayer. To fight the supposedly godlike power they think Ahzrack has, he now needs to travel through a sacred sentinel forest and reach a forge, where he'll gain more power that I may or may not be able to use. Commander Thera, daughter of the king, will meet us there, because she can unlock that power for us, somehow. At this point, the game had settled into a routine. Solve a platforming puzzle, usually by finding a switch or key, kill some enemies, or don't, on the way, enter a combat arena, beat it to death, repeat. But this forest had one encounter that took me longer than any other arena in the game. And why that challenge was so hard starts with by far my least favorite enemy, the Whiplash. Okay, not that Whiplash. Let me find one that lives a bit longer so I can explain. Here we go. Notice how the Whiplash does green attack after green attack. You'd think this makes him a new best friend, but look at my melee charges. For whatever reason, Whiplashes have the only parryable attack in the game that I know of, which doesn't give you a melee charge. They're also insanely tanky. Yes, with max melee charges, I can one-shot them, but without all three, this thing is 2 straight minutes of fighting. Why? It's never explained what makes them different. Anyway, having resolved to never again fight one of those like that, which is a promise to myself I'll definitely manage to keep, we can move on. The rest of the mission follows the formula I mentioned earlier. I pick up a keycard, I pick up a kill streak, I work my way through the level efficiently and cleanly. Then, everything grinds to a halt as I reach the arena. This is the arena. Aside from the various miscellaneous enemies, directly in front of you on the high ground is a Mancubus. Not armored, so no easy parry farm here. To your left, there's a Whiplash. If left alone, he'll join up with the Mancubus. Not a party you want to be invited to. Directly behind the Mancubus is the single longest line of shield enemies we've seen yet. And they will firing squad you to death almost instantly if you don't lure the Mancubus out of their line of sight. What about the right path, you may ask? Well, don't go that way. There are 2 empowered revenants over there. Killing them is pointless because they'll reinforce forever. Why? Because there's a shield guy hidden in the very back of the arena who's an enforcer. In a normal run, someone could just go kill him first with their gun of choice, and this entire encounter is basically solved. Yeah, I can't do that. I can't even get to him without dying, let alone kill him and get back out. But let's rewind. On different high ground overlooking the shield line covering the Mancubus is an Arachnotron, who is a 4-tour veteran sniper. He does not miss, and he can see almost anywhere on the map. And behind him, another line of shielders, and another Mancubus, this one lobbing ground goo that melts your health in seconds. Oh, and those shield guys you need to jump over to reach them, they can still shoot you from here, because they have the cosmic power of turning around. If that's not enough, when I kill most of the big demons, there is one more wave of reinforcements, which includes a mini-boss Pinky Rider, some imps, and a Hellfriend. One of the revenants from the right consistently aggroes if you cut through the middle, and to even reach the fabled Shield Enforcer, there are 2 more lines of shielders to jump over. Now, if you've been paying attention, You may have realized that killing shield guys with the tools I have is inconsistent at best, and teeth-grinding, brain-sanding agony at worst. So my main tactic is to find high ground and jump behind him. But in this arena, every enemy has the high ground. There's not a single place high enough for me to reliably drop down and flank. Every enemy is covered by shield lines I cannot ignore, but trying to kill the shielders is equally pointless. This turns this entire fight into a hellish hit-and-run loop. Take out one demon, then hope I can find enough healing to survive the next execution. So what do? There's no cheese, resources are limited, and once I spend my melee charges, I can't reliably get them back. We do the only thing we can. We try. That'd be sick if killing a fodder demon with melee gave you back melee. That'd be a cool rune. Get me out of the goo! Dude, Yep, yeah, I can't carry. Nothing. Literally, may as well die. Why does it lunge? Kill me. If the third hit glitches out, I may as well die. It's gonna slow me down by like 2 whole minutes. Dude, fuck the spider bots. 1, 2, 3, 4 kill. Okay. Easy. One, 2, 3, and parry. Parry. 3, 4, 5. Because he's at 0 HP, fair enough. They actually died of natural causes. Yeah, you saw that right. The enemies despawned. My best guess? Back in Eternal, there was a system where if an enemy lived for too long in an arena, I think around 10 minutes, the game assumed they were bugged and would automatically kill them to prevent softlocks. I think I spent so long on this encounter, constantly running away to get health, that the enemies were killed by some kind of failsafe. Dark Ages literally thought I had softlocked, and just let me move on. Still, with the enemies finally taken care of, because I guess demons share a lifespan with flies, we can finally progress. And we do so by getting on this turret. Luckily, just by sitting on the turret, the rubble in your path is intimidated into disappearing. Then I get up, stretch, and fix my posture. You should too. We continue on to the Forge. In case you forgot, that's why we're here. I pick up a grenade launcher, and you're never gonna see it again. And after a boss fight with the Agaddon champion, which I completely forgot was part of the level because, well, look at it, we finally get to enter the Forge. This video is brought to you by Sunk Cost Fallacy, because when I actively spend 30 hours in 3 days scripting and editing, I can't quit now. It's like fucking 80 at the time of recording. Entering the Forge reveals that this is another massive battlefield with multiple objectives. If you look closely, you can actually see the exact moment my heart breaks, and I check the map to confirm. We're in for the long haul, but long doesn't mean hard, and you guys won't need to suffer through this with me. This heart powers the Forge. We need to reactivate it. How? By killing some demonic cholesterol and flipping switches. 1, 2, 3, and we're in. Nothing new here except a puzzle where you throw your shield at hidden stone dogs. If you collect them all, you get an upgrade material. I scoured the map to get this, but don't worry, nothing I'm allowed to use upgrades with Wraithstone, making this a complete waste of my time. The inner Forge is 99% platforming, and this one encounter with a Mancubus. We open the door, and get to meet up with Thera for an upgrade that we've spent 2 missions working towards. Oh, shit. The mission still isn't over. Thera buffs your shield using some weird superpowers. Now, whenever I parry green projectiles, a giant fissure opens in the earth that staggers and damages demons. There's no moral dilemma to this one. I can't unequip it, and no force on earth could convince me to keep playing without my parry at this point. So I'll say this is valid. One quick leader fight, clearly designed to show off how cool your new shield rune is, and the mission is done. For real this time. Next up, with no explanation, the Slayer is sent to Hell to assault a Hell fortress. Meanwhile, it's revealed the demons are using the Maker's tether to spy on you. This lets them learn that Thera is actually the heart of Argent. I'm sure that's explained in the Codex somewhere, but to keep things simple, the blood of the old gods runs through the Sentinel's veins or something. So now the demons have a new goal. Bring Thera to the cosmic realm, so they can complete a ritual and extract her power into the lamp they stole earlier. Take a second to admire the design of the game, and then it's back to what we do best. I want to highlight just how effective this ground tremor thing is. It kills small enemies instantly, gives me armor, and finally gives me a way to kill shield demons. Yes, it's situational, but so is jumping down next to them. So now I have 2 things that can beat them. We are also introduced to the crossbow Arachnotron. In every conceivable way, they are a downgrade to the normal one. They've lost the hit scan, and they have a green attack, so I can recharge off of them. Moving on. This mission ramps the difficulty mostly through sheer numbers, but there's no specific encounter that gave me trouble because of how large the arenas are. It's pretty easy to isolate fights. It gets a bit dicey at times, but with fully upgraded melee and the new parry, I can rip and tear like never before. I also decide to start using my 1-ups from here on out, because having to say no to respawning every time I die was getting old fast. While I clear through Hell, this is probably a good time to mention. I gave up on secret hunting. The levels are massive, the secrets are obscure, and opening the map every minute or so was just dragging my enjoyment of the game down. From this point on, unless I trip over a collectible, I'm just moving forward. After destroying the 2 towers, there's one final massive encounter. It's basically all shielders, a few of these turrets that are instantly destroyed if you parry their attacks, and some arachnotrons. There's plenty of high ground, so I burst down the arachnotrons, make a sweet parry montage, and then parkour onto the shield guys. This encounter did not take me that long, so I have no clue why a bunch despawned on their own. Maybe they realized they were next to a cliff and gave up. This opens the route to your mech, and getting in will instantly end the mission. Halfway through, and at this point I'm either in a flow state or my mind's gone numb. Either way, I'm excited to get in another mech section. I really thought these would be more grating, but they're a nice break. And every one of them so far has been quick and easy. We make a sick jump. I run through some buildings in a giant mech, because sometimes I just do things for fun. And then the autopilot takes over, and uses the incredibly satisfying shotgun to instantly kill some titans. Do I even need to say that if a gun can do that, titans really shouldn't be a problem? With that arena cleared, we get a cool transition back to Slayer gameplay, using the mech's arm as a bridge to siege the castle. Right away upon disembarking, we're gifted a new shield rune, except I decide not to use this one. What it does is when you parry a ranged attack, a massive swarm of ethereal daggers appear and seek out enemies. How was that less melee than a giant chasm opening up under people? I don't know, but something about it just felt wrong to me. So this one gets the no melee stamp of disapproval. Again, I don't make the rules. And so we storm the castle. My movement and melee charge management are getting so efficient now that at times you almost can't notice the lack of shooting. Credit where it's due, melee only in Dark Ages still looks like it's a fun game, even watching it back. The multitude of green attacks means that once you learn what enemies to keep around as a recharge, you have no real downtime. Of course, there are setups that could grind this run to a halt, but I haven't seen any of those yet. So we clear this mission with only 1 death. And that was just because I got greedy with beating down a cyber demon. The level ends with one final battle, and a frankly epic fight against another Agadon hunter. They are probably my favorite thing to just hit in this game. Thera lets you know Bishop Kreed, aka the evil and somehow fat robot, has called a meeting with her, and opens a portal to get you back from hell, directly into the throne room that we just sieged. No, it's not explained why they didn't just put you closer earlier if they could have done that. This mission is short, sweet, and fun. An incredible break given the sheer size of the last one. Coming back into the base, you attempt to join the meeting, but every single door denies you access. The Slayer is surprisingly respectful about this, trying a few doors without breaking anything. Until it's announced there's a massive hell invasion going on, at which point you shatter your way into a vent and get ready to stop yet another siege. Will Ahzrack's so far incredibly effective plan of never interacting with the Slayer continue to bear fruit? Well, that all depends on how long you get delayed. We now know this meeting was a trap, which is why the Slayer's access is being denied, so we need to reach the hangar, get to the dragon, and head for the heart of the invasion. A friendly reminder, no matter how much stronger I am now, my only option when they throw exploding skulls at me is still to block and let them break my guard. The hallways here are much more claustrophobic than the scenic vistas of hell, there's plenty of cover to isolate fights. And while not my preferred method of dealing with enemies, close combat isn't exactly a weak spot in this run. This entire mission plays out under the assumption that demons are targeting Bishop Kreed, the friendly maker who is in charge of our mind slavery and torture. Because really, why would they care about Thera? And for some quick lore, at this point in time, the makers are being worshipped by the Sentinels. So everyone's worried about protecting Kreed. You aren't, you just want to kill as many demons as possible. That means fighting through the facility, finding a key, and slowly working your way to the hangar. There is nothing new here mechanically aside from a weapon, the Ravager. It does massive damage at the cost of movement speed. You'll have to take my word on that. We get gifted the yellow key, And there is another new shield rune on this level, the auto turret. The shield rune is literally a gun. I can never use it. The rest of the mission is narrow hallways, occasional skirmishes, and the creeping realization that Ahzrack's delay tactic is actually working. Eventually we reach the dragon, and boarding it means the Doomslayer is finally en route. The only question now, will he get there in time? You should know what getting on the dragon means. First, we will once again get to admire the immaculate aim of such a majestic beast. But also, the game wants to wow us with a set piece that will melt your PC. And it doesn't disappoint. Upon exiting the tunnel, it corrupts my footage. Once that's resolved though, you get to see the full scale of the invasion. We dive into the depths of the facility to take out the first tentacle, and watch it retreat into a massive portal hovering directly above the grand tower of the meeting room. We will never get an explanation about portal limits, but damn does it look incredible. Much like the previous mission, you can land your dragon. This time, landing brings us face to face with our first cacodemon of the game. What do they have? They fire huge, fence-sized projectiles, an extremely fast parryable shot, and of course their signature bite attack. We can still kill it with a 3-hit combo, but the list of enemies that need 3 hits is growing, and this one doesn't have a parryable melee move, so if it gets close, it's trouble. This encounter is actually pretty rough. I only beat it on the first try by burning 2 extra lives. Mostly because I wasn't on top of killing the basic soldiers, who still hit extremely hard. The leader is just an armored mancubus. There's an Agadon hunter and 2 hell friends backing him up, letting him kind of snipe you with ranged attacks while you're parrying the rushdown chain, but eventually the hunter takes a breather or something, and I execute the mank like I've done dozens of times before, ending the fight. I know we can't cover every arena unless you guys want a 10-hour video, but this one was really fun. Back to the dragon. We've got a few more set pieces to fly through and a few more tentacles to break to successfully repel the invasion. This ends in one final epic climb to the top of the tower, where you fight a boss revenant. There's also one of the spider mech things, but they still haven't gotten their prescription glasses in because at worst they shoot in your general direction, at best they give you free fissures and melee charges. I actually think they're arguably the least lethal enemy in the game, despite how scary they can look. The invasion is beaten, but they get the last laugh by stealing the entire tower through the portal, with Thera in it. The Slayer tries to chase them into the cosmic realm, but they wisely shut him out, preventing a cosmic version of the Slayer Testament. This leads into my favorite looking mission in the game, the Spire of Nerthul, with no real explanation other than the mission screen saying, Thera and Kreed were pulled into an unknown dimension, and the Makers found a way inside. You're just dropped off on an island at sea. And this ocean render, with the tornadoes in the background, is one of the very few times a game's graphics made me full pause. Seriously, let's take a moment to appreciate this. When you work hard, sometimes you need a minute to breathe and take in something beautiful. Okay, moment's over. This is the Komodo Champion, an aggressive enemy that also shoots at you when it jumps around. I've found no rhyme or reason to the shots, but they don't really break your shield either. You need to parry him multiple times to falter him and open him up. Falter being the technical term for when an enemy flashes orange and recoils. I probably should have mentioned that before now, but most of what I've been fighting only had 2 states, dead or alive. It takes a couple of attempts, but he goes down easy enough, and to take out some anger caused by Hell constantly refusing to interact with him, the Slayer beats on this poor Komodo for way too long. Okay, really the execution just couldn't start until I was on the ground. For maybe the first time in this game, pressing a button does something genuinely cool, draining the ocean to reveal there's a god slumbering underneath. Then our dog drops in. We give him a nice little treat, and seamlessly turn this into a flying level. They really push spectacle in this game. Using the dragon, we fly deep into the aquatic temple, exploring alien structures and things like sunken ships which are suddenly not sunk. I was so caught up in it, I tripped over an Arachnotron toy. We continue down. A random Pinky Rider volunteering to let me show just how much stronger we are compared to the start. At the bottom of this path, we clean up a quick and easy encounter and tactfully disable the stasis emitter. We get back on our dog and descend deeper still. This entire mission has an eerie tone that really stands out. Combat clearly takes a backseat to spectacle, for now. Upon landing, I get the final shield rune. This one conjures lightning strikes to stun and shock enemies near reflected projectiles. I think this actually would have been fine to use, but I never equipped it. The ground fissure's relatively short range just makes me feel better about it. Another quick encounter follows. This whole island takes less than a minute from our time of landing. Now there's one more stasis emitter to go. The next place the dragon drops us off is where this mission really ramps up, and I make a mistake I haven't made in over 8 missions. Aside from that mishap, there's an arena with a buffed Agadon hunter. I die here, but I'm too angry to die. I somehow live at 0 HP and become completely unkillable. Lore accurate mode unlocked? This bug never happens again. In general, this mission was a bit buggy. Like this Wraith that got stuck, and to execute him, the Doomslayer tapped into his power of flight. If you've been paying close attention, our objective at some point quietly changed to get the BFC, and this is one part of the game that's terrified me since the start of the run. For those who don't know, in almost every Doom game, there's a super weapon called the BFG. It's got extremely limited ammo and deletes absolutely everything it shoots anywhere near. It full clears rooms, easily. And without fail, the first time you pick it up, the game spawns an encounter begging you to fire it. As many demons as it can handle, it wants you to press that trigger. That's great and all, wonderful game design even, except I can't shoot it. Barring this cutscene, but technically I'm using it for traversal. Whatever. I wasn't sure if this was going to become a regular mechanic, so I couldn't say you'd never see this again. I'll let what happens next speak for itself. Let's do it. Yeah, in case you missed it, they broke my shield, and I accidentally shot for the second time. If not for that, I might have actually done this encounter in one attempt. How crazy is that? Yep, I lied. There's a phase 2. When this is already easily the craziest fight they've thrown at you so far. I guess it makes sense. You're supposed to instantly win, so why not be extra? Cue the second death montage. There's a phase 2. I don't know what to do. Other than just, like, keep sending it and hope that I don't get this RNG every fucking run. Oh, well. I think I missed out at that time. You know what? This is melee only, not sit back and parry only, so let's fucking go. That's what I think about that stupid gun. Jesus Christ. Okay, it might be sit back and parry only. Has a fast green and a slow green. And the way you tell the difference is if you get hit, it's the fast green. Fuck, my shield keeps breaking! Huh? Yeah, I don't know. Oh my... Stop shooting me from behind a Mancubus! My PC has gotten noticeably hotter from this part of the mission. No. No, that bite did not hit me. Two of them staggered! I couldn't get there in time. Dead. So fucking dead. What? What is biting me? Why is there a pinky in my asshole? One shot. One shot would kill them all. I just hope that because I have this now, it doesn't take it as an excuse to make the encounters all like this. Usually they're good at this. It's like, hey, look how cool your new weapon is, and then they don't make it, like, non-stop, but... Die. If there's a third wave of this shit, man. I haven't gotten a checkpoint yet, and I'm really, really scared. Ooh. chill the fuck out. Just chill. Please be done. Well, I can officially say that was the hardest part of the run. First time we're winning felt like a question instead of just a let's send enough attempts. Well, it wasn't pretty, but one clean run is all it took. Incredibly, the mission still isn't over. We have an old one to finish freeing. The devs were nice enough to include a melee-focused optional arena for me to decompress. Just a whole bunch of hell friends to beat on. Yeah, that tracks. I get to see exactly what I've been freeing clearly for the first time. We finish ascending the tower, and finally, this mission is complete. Legally Not Cthulhu takes flight, and we hop onto him, flying through this portal that he opens, and beginning our journey into the cosmic realm. We start where we left off, riding on the back of Cthulhu through a psychedelic wormhole. We let him go now that we're in. If he ends up being a problem, I'm sure we'll deal with him later, but he's not a demon, so killing him really isn't our priority, I guess. The portal lets us out into water, where we're sucked along through nonsensical caverns. We also get a very important message from our suit. While we have Thera's signal, we do not have the Kreed makers, confirming to the Slayer that something's fishy. The cosmic realm is a place not meant to be comprehended by mortals, and that means for the first time in this game, I found myself enjoying puzzles. We'll get to that eventually. For now, we watch the path we need to take build in front of us, but to reach it, we need to find a key. The level wastes no time in introducing its two new mechanics. First, warp stars, giant rings that launch you to distant platforms when you shield bash them. Second, the Cosmic Baron, an insanely tanky and aggressive enemy. It attacks so much, it literally pushes me backwards off of the level. It also takes multiple parries to falter. Its one ranged attack summons a cluster of spinning discs, only one of which is green. All of its melee strikes, though, are green, so once you know the moveset, it's manageable. Even then, it still takes an absurd amount of hits. After beating this arena, we get our first real glimpse at how cool the cosmic realm is. Watch this. Spatial distortion aside, the other new enemy is the Acolyte. It can clone itself, and while the clone is alive, it's completely immune to damage. They're not a problem if you kill them before they can split. 3 hits and they're down, but if they do manage to duplicate, things get messy. They barely ever do their one green attack, and dumping melee charges into the clone leaves me unable to kill the real one. These two mini encounters are just here to introduce the final few enemies of the game. And your reward for completing them? My first new weapon since Mission 6, the Dread Mace. Let me just say, if I felt strong before, this thing feels like cheating. At the cost of 4 parries to recharge, you get what is effectively a screen wipe for melee. It one-shots Armored Hell Knights. It two-shots Cosmic Barons. It kills anything around what you hit, with pretty insane range. If I asked it to, it would probably file my taxes and finish this script for me. There are situations where normal melee is better, but now I have an answer to practically anything the game can throw at me. These first few encounters are the only time I used it without upgrades, and even then it felt insane. The sound design for hitting with it is also just mwah. And considering I've never used guns, I'm sitting on a dragon's hoard of upgrade materials. So yeah, we're gonna be online soon. The Dread Mace only has 3 upgrades. First, enemies drop more health when killed. Second, the AoE damage increases, and not a small increase. It's enough to put a regular Mancubus into glory kill range, without even landing a direct hit. And finally, Repulsed. You gain a second charge upon parrying. There's a cooldown of about 30 seconds, but 2 swings is enough to kill anything in the game, or clear an entire room. Before I can unlock those though, I've got one more encounter to do with my fists, because the unupgraded mace can't charge quickly enough to kill an acolyte. It actually takes a second to get used to this newfound power. Like, right here, I wasn't even ready to go finish off this whiplash, because I never expected the mace to stun it from that far. And it does so much damage, one parry finishes off the Mank and the whiplash, who I never hit. There's one final encounter when we make it back to the portal. What really stands out is that I take out a Komodo champion in 5 hits, and keeping an enemy alive as a melee battery is now a great way for me to just one-shot any annoying enemies that appear. This may be the first time I've done a final arena of a mission completely deathless. We hop into the portal, and it's on to the next chapter. I'm pretty sure this is the shortest mission so far, if we're not counting mech levels. The arenas are small, there's almost no walking between them, and instead of a slow trek, you get launched to the next place to be. Even though we're 16 missions deep, this felt like a tutorial for the Cosmic Realm, and a place to hand me a new toy. Upon exiting the portal, I see 2 objectives far apart from each other. Before I can even groan, my suit outright tells me, there are 2 keys, get them to progress. I don't know how it knows this, but alas, we've got another massive battlefield level to do. This is almost purely filler, but it does have a few neat things going for it, so let's go through the highlights. First, the Find the Stone Dogs puzzle makes its triumphant return. This is a highlight because if you miss one of the dogs, you're about to have a miserable time figuring out which one. Okay, now for the actual good stuff. They're clearly getting more comfortable playing with puzzles here. Where earlier puzzles were just find the right crack in the wall, here they actively teleport you into dedicated puzzle rooms. A standout is this one, which fully rotates when you activate its mechanism, or this one, which loops vertically. Cosmic Realm puzzles are just head and shoulders above anything we've seen so far. An infinite hallway. This kind of feels like a showcase for just how insane the mace is. Look at how much damage it does to a mini-boss. Oh, that wasn't damage. It died? Yeah, that's my point. After you collect the 2 key pieces, there's one final encounter. It's packed with shield guys, but not only are they randomly exploding from being near the mace, the encounter staggers enemy spawns in 1 or 2 at a time, so it's remarkably easy. At this point, we've really hit our stride. There are encounters that could be annoying, but they still haven't thrown any of those at me. If that doesn't change, we may just be able to cruise to the end of the game. No breaks. To start this new location, we're getting jumped by Hell Knights the second we're out the door. They don't last, and this line of shield men doesn't even make a token effort to slow me down. We continue forward with GPU melting visuals, except at this point I'm on a personal mission to punch Satan in the face, and I don't think I even notice. Every swing of the mace feels like it's bringing me one step closer to getting my revenge on Kreed. No enemy combination is too much, no swimming section is too annoying. We are full steam ahead into the final encounters. The Cosmic Realm continues to be my favorite location in any Doom game, even if I could do without all the swimming. We also get our first reset in a while, thanks to an issue that I haven't had up until this point somehow. That energy shielded enemy on the hill looked exactly like one of the gears you're supposed to throw your shield at. Nope, it was a man. And after taking a moment to process that I just sawed someone in half, I reload. Anyone else feel like mini-bosses in this game just don't have enough health? Look at this damage. I feel like I barely even touched him and he's already ready to be killed. One more quick swimming section that I totally don't get lost in, and we get a glimpse at the temple where the ritual is taking place. They throw two big spiders at me at the same time, but I don't know why. It's not like two enemies that can barely hit you or any scarier than one. We make quick work of them. On the way to the temple, we get to see a few more of the best secrets in the game. I want to talk you through my favorite one of them all. So, running up, you can see the secret. And directly next to it, a breakable wall. I smash through, okay, then another breakable wall. I go around to grab the secret, and it's not there, a dead end. You start looking around frantically. Is there something else to shield bash? Shield throw maybe? Am I missing a path? Inevitably, you have to give up. But when you try to leave, you're sealed inside. You double back again. Now it's a wall. You turn around. Things change again. You're in a hallway. There's an extra life. You pick it up. Now you're in a melee arena, surrounded by Hell Knights. Now you're falling, because the floor breaks under you. You land. There's another thing to shield bash. And when you do, you're back where you thought you were the whole time. What the fuck? And now, you can get the secret. This may actually be my favorite part of the game, even now. There's no big final encounter to this mission. No dramatic fight, no mini-boss. I hit a cosmic-flavored lover, and then get picked up and eaten by Cthulhu. Wait, what? Okay, well, I don't think you need much explanation of how the story is going. We've been eaten by the Great Old One. Why are there demons inside him? Fully alive? Because it's cool. Not everything has an explanation. We find what is somehow the second massive floating organ of this run, only this time, instead of trying to power it up, we're going to power it down. What follows is perhaps the largest encounter in the game so far. Hell Knights, Stone Imps, Revenants, every flavor of Mancubus, Shadow Imps, Cacodemons, Crossbow Arachnotrons. Luckily, they all kind of stick to their own little quadrants. And the shielders are placed in a way where they almost never pester you. The final wave is a Cosmic Baron and an Acolyte. I dive at the Acolyte like a madman before he can clone, and the mace takes him out in one hit, which ends the encounter, and deletes the Baron with him. Okay. While this mission is thematically cool, there actually isn't much visual spectacle to the areas themselves. They're cramped, damp, and at times, questionably designed. Like, why does throwing my shield stop these crushers? And what creature has a digestive tube lined with timed crushing pistons? The biggest gameplay change is the acid on the floor. It'll melt through your health fast, and since melee attacks often launch me backwards, it's a bit hard to stay out of it. Not hard enough, though. They try to surround enemies with shielders, a setup that gave me issue in the past, but the mace performs magic against grouped enemies, making them disappear. I don't know why punching these Slayer-sized green tubes does more damage than the literal war I'm raging in this thing's body. You'd think this entire mission could be resolved with one quick BFC shot. There is one genuinely dicey secret encounter you can opt into. Multiple waves of buffed enemies, tiny acid-free islands to stand on, and it ends with a cyber demon. But otherwise, this is quick and easy. Before you know it, it's cutscene time. You blast your way out with the BFC. Just accept that the mission was really cool, and don't think too hard about how any of this works. Now, once more, we're back before the temple, and nothing but a few fodder demons and the world's most obnoxiously large staircase stands between me and rescuing Thera. We're told she's surrounded by enemy combatants, but another word for that? A target-rich environment. Especially when the enemies are packed this close together. Pro tip, not even the mace is strong enough to hit an undamaged shield directly and do anything. The fodder in this fight doesn't respawn, so the final phase becomes a test of whether I can kill 3 demons at once. You may be shocked to learn, we can. And with that, we're finally ready to rescue Thera from her forced T-pose. But things can never be that easy. Thera's uncontrolled power stings the Slayer, infecting him with a paralyzing magical energy. We get our first scene in the game with Ahzrack and the Slayer in frame at the same time. He tells us
her energy is too powerful, even for you.
And follows it up by straight up bitch slapping us with her own helmet. The camera pans over, revealing Kreed is a traitor. He says, "We should kill him." To which Ahzrack replies, "We need something more permanent." In case you missed that, this dialogue casually confirms that for the Slayer, death is temporary. Somehow, the demons know that, and sealing him is a better option. This actually patches up a major plot hole from Doom 2016 of, if they captured the Slayer, why didn't they just kill him? But also gives us so many more questions. Like, what is the afterlife in this world? Why isn't killing the Doomslayer permanent? What happens if he does die? Oh well. With the Slayer taken care of, the demons open a portal directly to King Novik. What the fuck are the rules of these things? They toss the Slayer's helmet to prove their victory, and the king can only flee. But what about the fate of the Slayer? We jump back to him, and he's surrounded by 3 old ones, using their power to contain him, on a floating rock, above an ocean of acid. This might have worked, except the makers gifted him a handy means of blowing himself up. The Argent energy overflows from removing the tether, killing the old ones and dropping the Slayer into the acid, where he dies. Death wasn't the end, but damn I wish it had been, because this is hell, literally. Every enemy combination I dreaded, every miserable encounter I imagined, they all make their home here. The Harbor of Souls is deep in the first layer of hell, where the damned are sorted into their final resting place. And it's where we wake up, having lost our mortal body. Aside from looking like a zombie, we also get to see that the Slayer is pissed, as a new mechanic is introduced for gameplay to match the story. The Berserk power-up gives you increased damage, passive health regen, and infinite melee. Because it just felt right, I swapped to fists instead of the mace and go wild. The only way this section would have felt better is if the power-up gave you glory kills back. After some much needed catharsis, the room fills with blood, and you swim in it to escape. Our suit of magic bullshit informs us there's a beacon calling for us in the mortal realm, and we'll need to hijack a vessel to get to it. The first arena of this mission actually isn't that bad. It looks a little scary, but if you prioritize the Acolyte, then the Arachnotrons, you can sit back and parry everything else to death, without any real risk. It's the transition section after where the nightmare begins. A long time ago, I mentioned that an Arachnotron is never an issue, so long as you have a way to get full charges, or a way to gain charges when you see it. Well, for the first time, we get to learn why that was a conditional. This room has a buffed Arachnotron, shield enemies, and 2 Shadow Imps. The buff means this spider does not die in 3 swings of melee or 1 mace. There's also no good high ground for all the shield enemies, and there's a very limited space. If that's not bad enough, you need to shield bash at a shield enemy to even reach this spider, which risks massive damage. If you fall trying to make the jump, you land on an electrified floor, which is easy to do because the shielders it spawns will press forward to the very edge and body block you from jumping up. The only thing that would have made this worse is if this was a Sentry Arachnotron. The fact that it has a crossbow, and thus 1 potential green attack, is my only saving grace. It's made all the harder because these energy shield guys are buffed. They seemingly turn faster, and they relentlessly run you down in an area that's barely large enough to maneuver in the first place. They can actually wall you out completely. Despite everything else I've gone through, fighting through this room gets the honor of causing my first rage quit. I got up and took a walk for about an hour, then finally won, due to some absolutely godly luck, both in surviving at all and in getting 3 green attacks from the spider. This was rough, and we haven't even hit the worst of it. No, it's not this random cyber demon. This is Snake Hallway, where we have to fight 2 buffed whiplashes at the same time, in a corridor with maybe 5 feet of room to strafe left or right. In case you forgot, whiplashes don't recharge your melee. There's one exception though, they're projectile. But for the most part, in this hallway, I have nothing to do but wait nearly 2 minutes after I've spent my melee. I can try to bait out the ranged attack. The issue is they need line of sight to throw it, and when they slither to the side, they often duck behind the pillars because they have no room to strafe, canceling the attack entirely. Even if they do use it, their projectile's home. Only the second or third can be parried. Blocking even one of them will shatter your shield because they're buffed. This means if you block a red one, you can't parry the green one. If the Arachnotron section I just beat was miserable, this feels outright hostile. Oh, and the best part, finally beating them opens up another door to my arch nemesis, the Horned Shield Soldier. God damn it, I knew he'd be back. If he kills me, we have to start the snake over completely. You get one guess how I know that. This was my second attempt. Had I won here, I would have saved myself an hour and a half. I completely forgot about this. I was so tilted, I tried to check the journal entry for whiplashes. It's just lore. I was hoping it had some sort of reason they don't give melee charges back or like a weakness, but nope. I accidentally turned on facecam at some point. The silent raging is hilarious to me. I hope it is for you too. Once I finally get back to the fight, I want you to pay close attention to what happens. For no reason I can discern, a shield bash melee puts both of them into glory kill state, turning a 5-minute slog into a 5-second kill. Now, I know I did that exact move multiple times. I have footage to prove it. So if anyone knows what was different this time, please let me know in the comments. It's a near thing, but I finally clear the shield man and complete Snake Way. After that, there isn't a single thing this game can throw at me that will slow me down. Seriously, that encounter, by length, took the longest. It's just that dying to the same 2 snakes forever can't really be an interesting montage. Back to business as usual. I slaughter the horde, grab a blue keycard but skull flavored, beat a second encounter in the first arena, and go up the elevator that the Arachnotron earlier was guarding. We're building up steam again. Not even 15 exploding skulls can stop me. What's that? Ah, real life can stop me. And now I can 1v1 this guy. Oh, shit, one sec, I'm getting a work call. Oh, your timing is immaculate. Hi. Yeah, I can hear you. But only for a moment. Ah, okay. The skulls can stop me too, But now that I know that they're there, we block them one by one and press onto the barge. We're going to sail our way out in style. The ferryman demands payment and receives it. Cutscene Slayer putting his free will to use and firing the super shotgun for the second time in this playthrough. All that's left is to relocate the former crew. This fight could be difficult, except they give us this cool berserk power-up, and my training on Snake Way is put to use, showing these demons exactly why we're called the Slayer. Just a short run to the helm, then we slam through the gates of hell and towards our revenge.
They are rage, brutal, without mercy. But you will be worse. Rip and tear, until it is done.
Right, we invoke the dark powers to call upon the damned.
Brought back by a dark ritual, dripping blood, the Doom Slayer rises. The city's under siege. The Makers have abandoned the Sentinels. Things look hopeless. But now, we're here. We've made it through every mission without firing a single shot. And there's only so far Ahzrack and Kreed can run. It's the final act, and we're not quitting until it is done. It's officially time to go after Kreed, and narrative be damned, this is the only villain in the game I actually dislike. Prince Ahzrack may be the main antagonist, but he feels more like a foreign king than a villain. He's not evil, just aligned elsewhere. Kreed, meanwhile, is a snake. He betrayed everyone who believed in him. He endorsed torturing the Slayer, and he's so profoundly incompetent for a supposedly divine being that his existence alone makes me question the entire Maker race. This is another Battlefield-styled mission. There are two mini-bosses and a leader encounter, in what is by far the most condensed space yet. Take them out, and there's just one enemy force left to clear. High above the battlefield, Kreed's ship is attempting to flee. If only we had a way to catch it. He's so fucked. After disabling the ship's defenses, we get to see the final enemy type of the game, the Makers. They have one laser attack, pop like balloons, and mostly just prep you to finally confront the traitorous Kreed. We find him exactly as you'd expect, begging for his life.
Prince Ahzrack, please, help me. I could still be of service.
There's no talking, the Slayer has arrived, and the battle begins. Kreed is the first proper boss of the game. He has no melee attacks, instead he just bounces you back if you get too close. The main thing to avoid is this move where he summons a ball that floats around the arena, but it can be shattered with a single shield throw, which I can't do. Aside from the basic projectiles, he has a parryable green attack similar to Cacademon's, and he can summon standard Makers. The ball does a ton of damage if you're caught in it, and I can't break them. Every so often, he gains an energy shield, which someone using guns could theoretically break, and tasks you with surviving a bullet hell. It's not much of a bullet hell. There are a few deaths from not expecting the damage these balls do, and one because I fall asleep mid-fight. Sue me, I had been playing for 18 hours straight at that point. Even Kreed can't believe it if he survives this.
Oh, thank the Khan.
I come back the next day refreshed. and we beat him down. It's revealed he has these gross slugs inside him. Someone who knows more about the lore may know why. We knock the slugs out of him and move on to Phase 2. He gains 2 new attacks in this phase, a spinning energy wall move and airstrike missiles. The wall move actually despawns the balls we're supposed to shield throw at, making it significantly easier for me to close in and rip him apart. And I swap to fists, because I want Kreed to know, this is personal. This fight isn't hard. Of course it's not. Kreed was never meant to win. The second he's presented with a threat, he folds, he scrambles, and he begs. But there is no mercy from the Slayer.
Wait. Thera. Ahzrack is keeping her alive on his ship. If she dies, his power would die with her. I can take you to her.
In his final plea, we learn that killing Thera would remove the power from Ahzrack. And for even suggesting it, Kreed gets what he deserves. Had he put up even this much of a fight against Ahzrack before begging for his life, I'd hate this guy a lot less. Thera is being kept alive aboard Ahzrack's ship. Unfortunately, there's an army of Titans between us and him, and the Slayer's Atlan is too damaged to be ready in time. I guess they've also run out of sentry guns. That leaves only one option: King Novik's Royal Atlan. And in a moment that makes me forgive him for his unskippable speech at the start of Eternal, the Slayer is given the keys to the Atlan. I cannot stress this enough. I fucking adore the big robot. And you should too. For the first time, I also have to stick to my melee-only rules in the Atlan. We unlock a new level on the combo bar. If I fill it completely, right-click will fire the shoulder cannons, which is not melee. So I either need to spend the bar on the big punch and stomp, or if I do max it out, I can take a hit to reset it. This mech also lets you combo special moves together. Using a special move now only takes one charge off your meter. Have I mentioned the destruction in this game is way better? It is. Okay, the Atlan is awesome, but all good things must come to an end. We smash the 3 towers the demons were using and leap towards Ahzrack. Just kidding, giant mech boss fight. The old one returns as a cyborg, and we go full Pacific Rim. This is actually a rough fight. 2 hits will kill you, and Cthulhu has a surprising number of moves. But it's just dodging and punching. And that's all I've done for nearly 20 hours now. So appreciate the best Glory Strike animation in the game. Technically melee because I didn't shoot, pre-baked animation. And then let's watch him die a second time. Huh? What the heck was that? Whatever. Smile to my face. With the old one dead, it's finally time for our battle with Ahzrack.
I can never rule as king, so long as you are the only one they fear.
Prince Ahzrack has the most robust moveset in the game, but almost all of it consists of green attacks. And for once, that doesn't make something easy. The timing changes. He can end many of his moves early. If you are too close, he can summon spikes for massive damage, or do a fast spear swipe that can't be parried. Basically, I have infinite melee charges, but staying close is a great way to die. He also summons blood clones that chase you down. They don't do damage directly. The puddles they leave behind, though, are incredibly lethal. If you're playing normally, you can shoot them to resupply. In my case, I block and jump into them to break them. It doesn't get me anything, but it also doesn't hurt me if I do it right.
This is true power.
It takes a few attempts, but we make it through his first phase. Now the real fight begins. Phase 2, and Ahzrack gets faster. He adds a few new moves, mostly built to chase you down. He also summons glowing orange hazards from the ground. Eventually, they explode into a burst of projectiles, but the real threat is backpedaling into one while dodging something else. All you have to do is exactly what you did in Phase 1. 3 parries in a row will falter him, and then you punish him however you want. Or, to simplify it even further, here, more than any other point in the game, is where you stand and fight. Dude, when he summoned... Yeah, okay. This fight is fun. It's a dance, and death after death, I found myself enjoying it. Ahzrack almost feels like a friendly sparring partner more than someone I want to kill.
Enough of this!
What? until, finally, we deplete his health, and get out of here. They killed my fucking dog. He gives me a reason to kill him. Phase 3. Let's go. We rip the stolen heart out of Ahzrack, forcing him to return to his normal form, and breaking the spell holding Thera. Her escape blows up the ship she's housed on, but also gives Ahzrack a chance to escape back to Hell. The Slayer hands the lamp containing Thera's soul to Novik and pays his final respects to the best boy. Thera is saved, but there's still one thing left to do. Ahzrack and the witch need to be put down, and there's nowhere in hell they can hide. This is the final chapter of Dark Ages. Let's finish this.
Secret key.
One more fight.
Kill him. Avenge your god. As long as I live, the Old One can still be resurrected. I command the Horde. Kill me, and this war will never end.
The witch is dead. Ahzrack lies defeated, and there's no mercy. The Slayer uses the flail to finish him, to make sure it's slow. Upon seeing Ahzrack's head, the demons flee. The sentinels return to their kingdom, and the Slayer, he stays behind, using what used to be the ship he was captive on as a base to launch a one-man war against the forces of hell. They'll write legends about what happens here, but that's a story for another time. Okay, that was rough. I wanted to make this video from the moment that I heard that Dark Ages was going to be coming out, but I am not really... This isn't really the type of content that I want to be doing all the time. I used to do challenge runs of Dark Souls 3, like, as my way of just kind of having fun, and when Elden Ring came out, I wanted to do a maidenless run. And then it turned out that you couldn't do that without glitches and bugs. So this is kind of my redemption story to that. This ended up being so much more than a challenge video. I really think I kind of ended up making Doom the Dark Ages abridged. And for anyone who stayed and watched all the way through, thank you. I'm not going to say subscribe, because I don't think I'm going to be doing this type of content again, but if you just want to see what else I make, I plan on doing kind of a talk about some interesting design decisions that I think Doom the Dark Ages made. And then I want to do one final wrap-up video for Doom. And when that's done, I want to talk a bit about some different games and game design that I think is interesting. So, for instance, what makes RNG good or bad in a game? If that interests you, then yeah, stick around. Definitely don't want to make a 2-hour-long video again. But I feel like I learned a lot doing this, and I hope I improved a lot. Anyway, I've played a lot more Doom the Dark Ages than you saw, because I did another run where I actually used the weapons. And I just want to give kind of my thoughts about the game. Because if you've stayed this long, I'm sure you're wondering. First, this game is so much easier than Eternal. Like, right out the gate. It's gonna be hard. It's going to be hard if you're not really the type of person who plays shooters. But, like, if you have played Eternal or you just like these type of games, it will be kind of difficult. But overall, this game is easy relative to Eternal. Like, very easy. There was no point in this game, ever, where I felt like I was getting pushed by the arenas. And that transitions into the next thing I want to talk about. I think the difficulty sliders are fake. Not that they don't make the game harder, but this game feels designed to me like they really wanted to push the hordes. And yet the only time in the game where I felt like the hordes were interesting and overwhelming is that encounter where you pick up the BFC. I would have loved to have seen more arenas like that. Like, if you're gonna spawn in... Like, you removed glory kills because you said, hey, we want to spawn in so many more demons that doing them would slow the pacing down too much. And then I feel like you didn't. I don't know. I would love to see more demon spawns. Especially because the way the enemies are designed, almost half of the things in the game don't shoot at you. They shoot around you. And that makes this game feel like a bullet hell, but when one enemy is shooting around you, it just feels like enemies can't aim. Not like I've got to go out of my way to do any crazy dodges. So, unfortunately, you can't up enemy spawn rate with the difficulty sliders, so until master levels, I can never experience the game in a way that I wanted to, which is, okay, these enemies die quick, but there's so many of them that it's still hard. I mean, other than that, they did a couple of things, like, the fact you can't block while you change weapons is just terrible feeling. They wanted to get rid of quick switching, but they overcorrected, and it feels like they tried to preemptively remove any tech that the players could find to swap faster, and I'm just not really about that. I think let players that want to have fun tech have fun tech, because, like, it's not going to ruin anyone's experience if one guy is fast swapping and they don't want to, if your game isn't built around doing it. And one final nitpick that I don't think many people have talked about: the arenas in this game are boring. They have almost no verticality, and enemies don't really move much. They kind of stay in their own little quadrants, so most of the arenas start just becoming, go to this quadrant with this group of enemies, take them out, move to the next one. I never feel like I'm in a big battlefield. It always feels like enemies are separate even when they're spawned together, and unlike Eternal, where things relentlessly chase you down, you never have to go out of your way to make that situation happen in this game. It's like the default. So yeah, I'd love to see a mode that is harder, with more enemies, more interesting arenas, and honestly, just more things that chase me down and don't float or stand in their own little corner. I get it, it's stand and fight, but like, right now it feels more like they stand and fight. It's not stand and fight, if that makes sense. Probably won't to non-English speakers. This game is fun. It is a pure power fantasy Doom first-person shooter. It continues the trend of making a wildly different third game in a series that is very divisive. Overall, if you go into it and you just want to walk through levels, shoot the demons, have fun, it's a good game. Feel kind of lied to about being more story-focused, but eh. And me personally, I have not quit until it is done. And now it is done. I haven't slept well in, God, since this game came out. But I definitely think I've improved a lot as a content creator. I am really excited to keep going and show you guys what else I can do. And if you want to stick around for that, like, stick around. Also, sorry about my webcam. I didn't have these lights until today, so my webcam's going to be a little dark through the whole video. It sucks to suck. Yeah, that was Doom the Dark Ages, Melee only. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.